have no idea how long it took us to come to you live today. We had some technical issues, and but hey, we're here.
Yay!
Welcome to this week's Raqs Talks. I'm Perizaad.
I'm Faizeh.
So we're trying to do a little more. We're trying to do something a little more experimental because, as much as you guys like the interviews, we did want this to be a show where we talked about topics without quite as much editing. So we are. That's my roommate. Hi, everyone. We're doing it live.
I like how you're like, whoops.
Yeah.
I like how you use your head to hide me.
I mean, it's a pretty large head. Like.
Stars.
Hi, Sergey. Hi. Welcome. So, greetings from Los Angeles. We're so excited to have people. So so we just wanted to do this so that way we could talk a little more about topics and stuff, and be a little more like on topic instead of just being like, oh, 2 weeks ago this thing happened. We're talking about it now, finally.
Yes. Also, I'm gonna keep it real. We've been working full time basically, and we love you. We want to give you this content. However, we've basically been doing it for free, and we both still have to, pay our rent.
Yeah,
I have a mortgage, but
I still need a job that gives me money. So
Yeah,
I still need to look for one of those because I've been out of work since March. Hi.
So the message, the underlying message to that actually is go out and get people to like or to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because if we get enough subscribers, then we can monetize and we can, do whatever we want.
Yes.
With the channel full time.
Yes.
And whatever you guys want and that kind of thing.
Yes. So our new plan is to continue to release the interviews because we really love doing the interviews and we know that you guys really love the interviews. So we are going to be doing that every other Wednesday. So basically every other Wednesday you're going to get us live where you can talk to us and we can talk about things that are coming up. For instance, the belly dance bundle sales are going live this week, and that's going to be a fantastic today. In fact, forgot today's the 21st. So that's going to be an incredible opportunity for everybody. They really do everything they can to fit as much content in for as affordable a price as possible. We will also post a link down below so that way you guys can. Hi, Tavina! So good to see you. But we'll be posting a link so that way, for those of you who don't know, or you want to check it out, or you're finally gonna pull the trigger, we'll post a link so that way you can go ahead and purchase that. That's going live from today to the 28th, correct? 21st to the 28th, I think it is. I think it's Wednesday to Wednesday.
I don't remember.
So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. And then the following week, next Wednesday, we're going to be posting our interview with Andalee Owens, the producer of Hot Raqs. So this is going to be the new format. Once, every 2 weeks, you're going to get, it's nice to see you. Like once a week, every other week, twice. Avery can calm down and do things.
Every other week we'll be posting the interviews. We still have some lined up. We have some that are waiting to be posted. And every other week you'll get us.
Live.
I mean, you get us every week, but you'll get...
More of us, more than you could ever want.
That's impossible.
Impossible. So, into our topic. We're doing this on Facebook because YouTube is a jerk.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, so it turns out
if you don't get me started, then we won't be talking.
Yeah, we were trying. We've been trying since like 12:25 to go live. We found out that we aren't eligible to go live from our mobile devices because we don't have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yet. And then we tried to go live via webcam, and for some reason it wouldn't communicate with my webcam. So we're on Facebook. Yay!
Yay!
This is where all our fans are anyway. So
It's true.
anyway, one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. Yes, actually, crossplay smart pages is a thing.
So, please, everyone, while we do random things like share this.
Yes.
Anyway.
But so one of the things we wanted to talk about today, because I know right now, as of this recording, AmCab is not necessarily American Cabaret is not necessarily as popular as because we're getting so. Let's get us to 1,000 subscribers. Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed, Davina.
Yes,
Agreed.
thank you. That's what we're trying to do.
Right. So right now we're living this time where we have so much information because of social media and because of YouTube and everything else. You know, we can be a lot more specific. So Egyptian style is really popular. There's some Turkish going on, and
I love Egyptian style.
it is,
And I love Turkish style.
and that's why we're in American Cabaret, so we can perform both in the same set.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Silence. I love Egyptian.
So, because we're getting more specific, and because American Cabaret, I was talking to Laura Lale about this on Saturday, where basically sometimes people can get kind of the wrong idea about American Cabaret because also they don't like the idea of it being called cabaret because of its like burlesque connotations. But cabaret is literally just what the theaters that they were performed in were called. That's why it's called cabaret. But
to me, that's like if you just call it cabaret. Like to me, American Cabaret is very specific.
it is.
American Cabaret is distinct from whatever other.
From Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
From Liza Minnelli and Joel Grey.
Sorry, that was my.
Yeah.
These are the things that she edits.
These are the act outs that I edit.
So you guys
we
don't know
we got
how
the best,
fabulous I am.
we got the best compliment from Tiffany, who's running the Belly Dance Bundle the other week. We did an interview with her, and she was very nice. She was like, "Yeah, I was watching your guys' interviews, and I was like, oh, are they actually this funny, or are these just bits they add in?" So
We think we're hilarious.
yeah, that's
Even if you guys don't, we do.
we think we're great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But anyway, American Cabaret, I feel like the term American Cabaret is in its entirety like you can't call American Cabaret just cabaret. You can, but then like
but it's so because we used to say Egyptian cabaret instead of because I think part of it was we weren't comfortable with the term Oriental.
Yeah.
Or at least applying it to this dance, but we've come to realize that it means something else, that it's used in different contexts. So now
I'm
what we
not calling
used to
a
call,
person.
right, yeah,
That's
and and what we're performing is Raqs Sharki, which is literally Oriental dance
Versus
So-
Occidental.
exactly. So I mean that's part of it, but like one of the things I love about American Cabaret, it is specific to itself, and it is specifically a mishmash of everything, which I know we're trying to be more appropriate. We're trying to be more specific. It's one of the reasons why we, we're not just running around in coin belts and harem pants for professional performance, not just for practice or, as a beginner.
How do you feel about coin belts?
I hate them. I hate them. I hate them so much. I like being able to move behind, backstage without being heard, and it's really hard for you to be able to get into places that jingle, 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 while the MC is doing your intro, and I hate that. I like to be able to stealth. I think I'm a ninja in my own mind. I'm a ninja, and so I hate that. Also, I just don't get them, and my main issue with them is that it's the first thing that people slap on and start going me, 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 and I hate it. I hate it so much.
I still like them okay, but Zumba is what ruined
Zumba's
them.
what killed it for me. When I walked
Yeah.
into a Zumba class and I saw a bunch of coin belts, I'm like, what are you doing with that? They're like, because they say if you can hear the coins, then you're moving right. And I'm like, no.
Well, the thing that bothered me is everyone was like, Zumba and belly dance are the same thing. No, they're not.
Tito Puente would have words about that.
Zumba is fun. I'm not bashing
Zumba's a lot of fun.
Zumba is really fun.
And belly fit classes are a lot, but even belly fit is not belly dance.
No. Yeah, it's its own. Oh, I have.
That's a whole
thoughts
other live
on
stream.
that.
That's a whole other live stream.
Oh, we have a whole bunch of.
Hi, Dave. Sorry, it just fudged.
Yeah.
Aw, Sergey, thank you for saying we're fun.
Yay! And Michael thinks we're pretty hilarious.
Yes, if you go through a theater program, cabaret performance is about the size of the venue. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's another thing is we call it theater,
Yeah.
even though we're not performing in theaters, but it's just live performance. If you're doing a play live, it's theater.
But she's saying that cabaret is a specific type, like
A specific size of the venue.
right. So
Right.
when you like when we performed at WorldCon and we had
That would not be a cabaret.
that would not be cabaret because we had like 1,500 people watching. And so that was not intimate. And a cabaret is a more intimate setting. And I wonder if that's how it started being called cabaret. No, it's the whole other thing.
No, it's the whole thing that Dawn, that Davina said in her interview about how it was the Salome dancers that was performing in the vaudeville and burlesque shows. And then us adding like the veils and like fucking swords on our heads. I swear, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm really good about editing it out of the episodes, but I actually have the mouth of a
I don't
sailor.
have curls on, or I would clutch them. So I have to just clutch my
Performed, no, served. Yes.
Anyway.
Anywho. But so one of the things that we love about cabaret is the fact that like it was just a learning process for everybody involved because it is a dance of immigrants 100% because it's all of these people that came from all of these different regions in what we now refer to as like Mideast, North Africa, former Ottoman Empire, etc. It's all these people that came together. They came here, because they were a diaspora. They didn't have their communities where they're going to play just Turkish music at a Turkish restaurant, eating Turkish food, and there's only going to be other Turks in there. Like, that wasn't a thing. It was everybody. It's still not a thing. It was everybody having to, like, get involved and cooperate. It's a dance of cooperation because, the Iraqi Udist and the Egyptian drummer and, like, all of these people having to get together and play all of their music and just cooperate. And then dancers, whoever was around to dance, figuring out how to dance to all these pieces.
And Corey talks about this a lot in her interview. And actually, after we did our interview with Corey Zamora, who has been dubbed the Queen of AmCab by, I think it was by Aisha Ali.
And us.
Okay. And anyway, after that interview, I had a bit of an epiphany, and I don't know if it's accurate, but this is my new theory. And so prior to that, I would talk to other belly dancers, and when you listen to live music, because people like me really, really want to dance to live music.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously I dance to canned music all the time, but I prefer live music like crazy. And so in discussions about live music, we would talk about how you can tell the difference when it's a group of Arabs playing the music and when it's a group of Americans playing the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I always just thought it was because, obviously this is part of it, that this is for the Arabs, this is their music. It's what they grew up with. They've been playing it their whole lives, even if they're just dinking around on it, whatever. Whereas Americans probably picked it up as an adult,
right?
And that is all probably true as well. But after the interview with Corey, it kind of struck me that the American musicians who are playing Middle Eastern music probably learned from those musicians at, say, the Fez, who were playing with each other, creating a distinctly American sound. Whereas Arabs are playing...
And it's true because the music is actually referred to as Amaraba. It's its own genre of music. When you look up Eddie the Sheik Kochek, he doesn't come up as like he comes up as an Amaraba musician. Specifically, it's its own style. It's American. It's called Amaraba because they're like, American and Arabic, even though now we know it's like may not. But it's its own distinct style, which, I happen to really, really love. Like right now, especially because,
Wow.
I just had this conversation with Laura. So I was just like, Laura.
It's fine. She does this all the time.
I do.
She gets a crush on somebody, and then all it is, holy
Then
cow.
it's just so-and-so said, and so-and-so
Yes.
said, and then so-and-so said, and then so-and-so said.
And I'm like,
She hates
anyway.
it. But, like,
but I love her.
But we were talking about, like, how Arabic pop now, like, we're so used to, like, when you're a belly dancer, the first thing you get drilled on is, like, all of the rhythms. Like, you have to know, like, I was telling my mom
If
this.
you have a good teacher.
The
Did
first,
you have a good teacher?
she's okay.
Sorry.
No, she's fabulous.
Thank you.
But like one of the first the first things that you learn is like what are all of the rhythms, or at least you learn at least 3, 2, 4, 4 rhythms and 1, 9, 8, which is going to be Belody, Saidi, and then not Kashlama.
Kashlama is a 9/8.
Kashlama is, but I'm thinking of shifted
Tally.
tally. I only learned Kashlama because when I was trying to learn how to Zilla Gallop, I kept accidentally playing a Kashlama, and Faizeh was like, "Who's playing Kashlama right now?" Me, because I can't get this hand back on. Anyway, but like you learn those rhythms, and right now, like Arabic pop still to me right now sounds a lot like, and I'm like, that's fine, but I love like all of the rhythms.
Bum belly bum belly belly bum bum.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I love that song.
Yes, but it's just, I feel like a lot of people think that like American Cabaret is inappropriate because of the way it meshes everything together, instead of it being that this is what was created when you had to acknowledge everybody in the audience.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view it too.
Right. It's like Laura talks about when she dances.
Okay. I love Laura too.
But when she dances at her restaurant, you know, and she can see
Babouche in Long Beach.
Thank you. I was like, Babouche, I don't know. But Babouche in Long Beach, when she sees that, you know, there are Lebanese in the audience, and there are Turks in the audience, and there are these people in the audience.
How does she know by looking at them?
Maybe she hears a conversation. We'll have to have Laura on sometime to ask.
Yes, we will. Go ahead.
But she'll be like she says, you know, there'll be parts where I think she was dancing for. I think she says that she was dancing for Arabs, and there was some Turkish music playing, and they were like, "We don't like this music." She's like, "I know. Give it 3 songs." And then
I doubt she said it in the Perizaad way.
That's why she's actually dancing professionally, and I just dance on stage where I don't talk to people.
That's why you needed this venue.
But she was like, give it 3 songs, and then like either a melody or like an old school song came on, like something came on. Oh, Shik Shak Shock! All of a sudden, that's what it was. She was playing Turkish music, or maybe it was a shift Italian or something. Like, we don't like this music, and then Shik Shak Shock came on, and then the whole party got up and was like dancing with her and singing and all this. And this is what we like, is that, you know, like Corey did in her performance with us, she did a dab key at the end of her piece. Because, you know, she finished with the 9/8, and so she picked up her veil, and she was swinging it like a, you know, she did the dab key, she was swinging it like a napkin, but she also did some Turkish in there, and she did some Arabic, and she did some, like, and that's what we like about this, is that we have the ability, as American Cabaret dancers, you learn so much that you can give kind of a nod to everybody in the audience, but also, if you're doing, like, a long show, you can really pace yourself, because you learn all of these skills and you can break up your show.
Speaking of a full AmCab show and Laura, Lael, Friday night at 7, we will be
7 Pacific Daylight Time.
Yeah. Laura Lael will be performing for us via Zoom. At go on Facebook. I mean, you're on Facebook right now, but after the show, go on Facebook, find the Zoom link it's an event.
Yes,
Spotlight.
our Facebook event is Raqs Talk Spotlight featuring Laura Lael. You have the Zoom link right there that you can click on it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
A little before 7 or at 7, and we'll let you in. The show is free. We always do these shows for free because we want people to have access. But, you know, the guests are also giving up their time. So if you can tip, we have to do tip. But if the financial, we don't want finances to be a barrier to anybody who just wants to see art.
Exactly.
So
okay.
Anyway, back to what we were saying.
Commercial break.
But one of the things, like with the American Cabaret set, you know, we can do longer sets and we can break them up and we can really speed through them, because sometimes, you know, like we were talking about how there are restaurants out here in the Los Angeles area that want a 30-minute set, but they want it to be all high energy Arabic pop the entire time.
Which is doable. I mean, if you train to maintain your stamina, which I know I do, you can do it and you can keep that energy up.
But you know who doesn't train for that stamina? Your audience.
Yeah.
They get worn out.
Exactly.
They get worn out. And it's hard. It's really hard when you don't know how to create a set and break it up and have diversity. It gets really hard for your audience to know what to focus on because it's the same thing and
it's half an hour of da 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 da.
It's half an hour of intro. It's just like,
and so they watch and then they have to turn to their hummus because they're just tired of
their brains are having a hard time processing what's going on.
And so
thank you, Michael.
So thank you. If you have some diversity isn't the word I was trying to find. Dynamics.
Yes.
Then your audience can watch the whole time. And so that's why. So I actually asked Corey about this, and then she was like, "Yeah, that was a few years ago." But a few years ago, she referred to AmCab as a format instead of a style.
Right.
And part of that, I have definitely been learning a lot lately. That, especially now that we're all so connected, AmCab means something different in California than it does in the Midwest, than what it does on the East Coast.
Yep.
And that it had never occurred to me that we all weren't doing the same, like the styling wasn't the same everywhere because it's, this 50-year-old style. So that has gone out of fashion and recently starting to come back into fashion. And so it just never occurred to me that, like...
No, I think us finding out from Corey that in New York, they didn't want them not wanting you to play your zills because it might drown out the singer. It's just so different. Like, to just not play zills at all. Well, I guess they're Sagad, but to just not even play zills at all because the singer might be drowned out, as opposed to what Corey and a lot of the LA dancers learned, which is to just kind of mute your zills when you dance, is just so bizarre. And then also Amani Jabril, when she was interviewing with us, once we got off camera, she was saying that she would really love to hook us up with some of the ladies that were doing the Atlanta area, which is going to be fascinating because that's going to be an entirely different thing as well, because part of it too is also who immigrated to these different hubs, because the thing is, we live in Los Angeles, and we have a huge enclave of Armenians here in Glendale. That's the big joke here, is Glendale, Little Armenia, basically, even though there actually is Little Armenia, it's not in Glendale, but there's just it's dependent upon who moves where, because we'll have a greater concentration of Armenians, and some of those Armenians are from different parts of Armenia where they either were raised with Turkish music, and so they're going to love Can Belazikian and Istem Babachim and all of that, or they're going to be from the part of Armenia where they're like, fuck Turks, I don't ever want to hear Turkish music again, etc., etc. So you got it. This is a diversity that you need to be aware of, and you need to have the historical context for, so you can dance for these people without, at the least, getting the tips put back in their pockets, but at the worst,
go ahead.
But at the worst, really offending your audience and having a complaint with the manager, or having somebody, get up and walk away because they were hurt.
I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but I'm going to talk about it again anyway.
So, speaking of people shutting off their music, did I talk about this in the interview that you did with me? Anyway. So, there is a restaurant in my area. I am just outside of LA. I'm still in LA County, but just on the outside. And there is a restaurant that used to hire us, or they didn't actually hire us, they just had allowed us to dance there for a few months because we were trying to show them that they would need belly dancers, and then we're like, all right, it's time to pay us. And they're like, yeah, we don't want to, so we didn't work there anymore. But while we were there, the probably 2 months that we were kind of cycling through some of the local dancers, they are Greek, and
very Greek. Their daughters used to be on my softball team. I know them
well. And they didn't want any Turkish music. They wanted Arabic music, and they didn't want any Turkish music. That was fine with me. I can dance to Arabic music. But there was one gal that insisted on dancing to Turkish music because that was her favorite. And we were like, you can't dance to Turkish music with these people. They don't want you to dance to Turkish music. And she would go out there and her music would come on and it would be Turkish and they would just shut the music off. They would do that when they were just done with you anyway. But
Not everybody is Blue Shalaby.
No. And they would, but every single time for her, and she couldn't wrap her head around it. She never understood. And we're like, they don't like Turkish people. So they don't want Turkish music. So you can't dance to Turkish music. And she'd be like, but it speaks to me. Like, well,
and that goes back to something we've said on live a couple times. You are entitled to your artistic voice. You are not entitled to an audience.
it's true. It's true. She could, and I don't know what she's not dancing anymore, so I don't know.
I mean, she can come dance in, Los Angeles for a Turkish family anytime she wants. But she sure as hell can't dance at a Greek restaurant with that music.
No.
So
Yeah.
And that's one of the things too, going back to our point about, considering your audience and how a 30-minute all shabby or all high energy music will really wear on your audience. One of the things too is like props, dancing with props. This
is how you don't get paid.
Yes. Thank you, Heather. You are correct.
It's true.
Isadora, holding it down over there.
Yes.
That's how you don't get paid. Yeah. Basically.
It's true. It's
But
true. Go ahead.
But with the props, it's kind of like, on the one hand, it kind of feels like the Gypsy the musical, Gypsy Rose Lee. The song You Gotta Get a Gimmick. But on the other hand, Laura pointed out, it's just gentler on your audience when you dance with a veil and a sword and whatever. It lets them know what to look at.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting
it's
way
really, especially when you have an audience, when you have the Midwestern family that came out to Los Angeles from the first time, and oh boy, don't you know, we'd love to try that Lebanese food there. And so they're out there, they're trying, but they don't really know necessarily what to look at. It's a lot easier on your inexperienced, your naive audience who doesn't know what to look at. You're just like, look at this veil, now look at my hip. It's nice. It's a nice thing to do for your audience.
And when you're in an intimate setting, like a hookah lounge or a restaurant, which is typically what you're going to be doing if you're doing an AmCab set, because that's where the style really
came from, really.
Evolved. Then, like, when you're up right next to them, they don't want to be like, I'm going to look at your hip when you're standing. They're like looking at you, and they're like, I know, so I'm going to look at my hummus. So, people really, really like to look at their hummus a lot.
She likes hummus. You wouldn't know from the way she talks about it on
I
the
love
show.
hummus.
But
I love it. But
oh yeah, you like my Wisconsin accent there? Yeah, I got some family from back there.
But anyway, so if you have the sword or the veil, or you can do, like, if I'm really right up next to somebody when I'm dancing for them at Moon of Tunis, I try to talk to them so that they can look, they know where to look, because if you're talking to them, like, I'm not like, hey, but I'm just like, hey, you having a good time? Just trying to say it's okay to look at me and not your hummus. But now look at my hip, because that's where you're going to put $1.
Yes.
Hopefully more than $1.
And I also feel like as the dancer in a restaurant, you're kind of acting. It's funny because there is an actual hostess position at restaurants, but you're the hostess. You're going around, you're making sure everyone's comfortable, everyone's entertained. And like, I think that's a really good place to dance from. Like, it's a great, like, that's a good attitude to dance from. It's like, you just take on the fact that you're the hostess. You've just swept into the room. You're like, hello everyone. How was your party? Oh yes, good.
If you view it, which I do, as you are bringing the party, then part of that is trying to make your audience, regardless, even if you're dancing on stage, you want to make your audience feel as comfortable as possible.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
So that's just one way that I am comfortable making my audience comfortable, is by chit-chatting while I'm shaking my bonbon. So it's worked for me for 20 years, and I haven't had too many, aside from those people that like walked out a different exit so they wouldn't have to walk by me, like probably about a year ago. That was
silly and hilarious because I was changing my shoes, and there's this table that just for whatever reason they were violently opposed to me. So like I went and I tried to dance for them, and they were just like, "Ugh." So I was like, all right, I won't dance for you. And they were like way over in another part of the restaurant anyway. This was at Kebab
Hut?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Kebab Hut. And everybody else was really nice in the main section, and they enjoyed me. Anyway, so I was changing my shoes. It has been 30 minutes.
It has been, so finish your story.
Sorry.
We'll recap. Let's try to make this like watchable for you guys too. Instead
Yes.
of making you listen to us talk right now.
Because we can do that. Anyway, and and then I was between them and the exit. And so they went out through the patio where the hookah was. And a couple of them like seriously walked all the way around me. Like if they actually walked normally by me, I was going to like jump out of them.
Well, thank God they escaped that den of iniquity.
Yes.
That was Kebab Hut.
Kebab Hut has really good food. So, and usually Karina is the one that dances there. So I recommend that you go to Kebab Hut and tip Karina lots of money. She is beautiful.
Well, we're trying to keep this short for y'all. So just to recap, AmCab isn't just appropriation. It was a learning experience for everybody. It is its own style. It's really great for breaking up the dynamics for your set. And this is why we are basically AmCab Zealots. I want to say evangelicals, but that has more context to it. So, but we are AmCab Zealots. And this is why.
True.
But Dawn, I'm really sorry that you're going to be talking funny for the rest of the day. It happens to me too when I get on the phone with my family. And so, yeah. And thanks, Michael.
My story.
Your story.
I
Anyway,
mean,
this is a new format. Basically, we're just going to be chatting with you guys for like half an hour on Wednesdays when we don't have when we are not posting an interview. But
hopefully it will be live on YouTube when we figure it out. But
yeah,
regardless, help us get 1,000 subscribers because that's what we need, and we are.
I think we saw 245 the last time.
Yeah,
so we're
so
like 25
20-ish, yeah.
So, but anyway, thanks guys so much for talking to us, and it was so much fun to talk to you guys.
I
in
know,
the
and this was fun
comments.
too. Yeah,
This was so great. But we love you guys, and this has been Raqs Talks. I'm Perizaad,
I'm Faizeh.
and we'll be doing the live shows at noon from now on.
Yes.
So
So plan your lunch around
noon
it,
on Wednesdays.
except for Isadora, who needs to plan it around putting her kids to bed because she's in the UK. But
So-
anyway,
so
sorry.
8 p.m. for you guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you guys. See you next time.
Masalama.
Masalama.